Alright, I am patching in on a weeknight because we have major news about Piston Peak, the brand new Cars themed land coming to the Magic Kingdom. We have new concept art of this brand new land, details about the rides and the queues, information about new characters that are actually a nod to some Disney history, and more information about how this land was actually inspired by the US national parks. Let's get into it. Alright, so in case you didn't know, the new Cars themed land called Piston Peak National Park, or Piston Peak for short, is going to be replacing the Rivers of America, the Tom Sawyer Island, and Liberty Square riverboat attraction at the Magic Kingdom starting on July 7th. So that is just over a month away, and these are your last weeks to ride those attractions. So make sure you get down to Disney World and do those now because they're about to go away forever. This is permanent. This is not a temporary closure. As another reminder, these changes are part of the largest expansion that's ever to come to the Magic Kingdom, and that also includes a villains themed land expansion. But that's not the point of this video, and I will stay on track. See what I did there? Okay, I'll stop. So we know the land is going to be called Piston Peak and that it's actually based on Rocky Mountain National Park, and it's going to include red rocks, mountains, rivers, geysers, trees, lush landscapes, and lots of waterfalls and water features, which I will get into more later in my final thoughts section of this video. According to sources, it's also going to be based on some parks that feature in animated Disney films, and also on existing theme park buildings such as Disney's Wilderness Lodge and also Grizzly Peak over there at Disney California Adventure. I believe that's what we would call synergy. And some more fun information, Piston Peak, the setting is actually not brand new. It's actually the location of a Cars spin-off called Planes, Fire and Rescue, a deep cut released back in 2014 that didn't really make much noise upon arrival. Imagineers, according to sources, have made it very clear that they are not pulling elements like the characters or the plot from that Planes film, but just the setting known as Piston Peak. So take that with what you will. Fun details in the land are going to include a sort of carified design structure. So what that means is there's going to be really low windows so that cars could ostensibly look through the windows, and really wide entrances to buildings and attractions and whatnot so that cars themselves can fit there. So basically they're going to try to make this seem as if cars actually can traverse and frequent this land along with guests. I think what's also cool is that some of the architecture is going to include automotive inspired sort of found materials. An example we were given is a sort of wagon wheel and how that will be used into the land and some of the architecture. All right, important stuff. Let's talk rides. We already knew there's going to be two attractions. One, a road rally type thrill ride, the main attraction, and then a kid-friendly attraction. Let's talk about the first. The road rally, racing rally, is going to go through mountain trails, geysers, and mud holes. And I think if you look closely at the brand new concept art, I think that yellow portion is actually going to be the track for this attraction. We know that the queue is going to be housed in a visitor lodge section of the Piston Peak, and that it's going to be made to look like an A-framed mountain lodge made to look as if it's in a national park in the woods. The second ride, geared towards families, is going to have a queue set in a park ranger lodge, and it's going to have a new character. Now here's some fun information for you Disney nerds. The character is going to be named Ranger J. Audubon Woodmore. This name is actually a character from the Humphrey the Bear and a few Donald Duck cartoons. So this character is going to be an animatronic on the kid-friendly attraction that is still unnamed. And as part of the pre-show, they're going to talk to you about lore and fun information about Piston Peak. I think this is really cool because Disney is sort of reaching into pre-existing lesser-known properties to make this feel sort of unique, but also still fresh at the same time. I'll get more into that at the end of this video. All right, a few notes about the intended design of Piston Peak. In their blog announcement that was released today about Piston Peak, I think Disney is teeing this up smartly, and I'm going to explain why. According to Disney, guests have, for years as they visited the Magic Kingdom, traveled through many different areas and time periods as they had fun at the park. They explain it as traveling in Magic Kingdom through upstate New York and colonial America in Liberty Square. They going through the Northwoods, and then New Orleans for Tiana's Bayou Adventure, and then finally all the way to the Arizona Bluffs to ride Big Thunder Mountain in Frontierland. The subtext here, to me, is that Disney is sending a message to everyone, myself included, who raised questions about how Cars Land is going to fit into Frontierland. I think what they're saying is Frontierland is already sort of a patchwork of time and places, and it all sort of works, and that we should essentially trust them. And to that I say, touche. Disney is also touting its intended use of what they're calling Parkitecture, which is actually a method that is inspired by the US National Park Service and how they construct buildings in the national parks to harmonize those buildings with the existing natural environment. How are they going to do that here? They intend to use trees as a natural barrier between the new racing rally ride and the rest of Frontierland and Liberty Square. Based off the concept art, I think what they're trying to say is that they're going to use trees and probably other types of landscaping to make sure that Liberty Square, and in my opinion, especially the Haunted Mansion, retain their character and their essence, even though they're going to be so close to such a brand new major expansion. There's also going to be a waterway across from Grizzly Hall, and then geysers next to Big Thunder Mountain, which are supposed to be updated to blend with the new land. And according to the article, what they're going to do is change some of the geysers to be rainbow geysers, and then also include some tire tracks and stuff in that area so that it doesn't feel as disjointed, and sort of Big Thunder Mountain and Piston Peak sort of blend together as one. So that's something that's going to be interesting to see, especially considering that Big Thunder is already going a major refurbishment right now and won't open until next year, 2026. So it remains to be seen how it's going to potentially be affected again for these new updates. All right, so my 3 takeaways. I'm a little less trepidatious after seeing the new concept art and hearing this new information. I like the concept art. I like the idea of the new rides in this area that, while unique and really nostalgic and not something that I necessarily want to see changed, you know, new attractions means new experience. That's always fun. The Disney parks are always changing for a reason, right? I also really like the US National Parks inspiration. It gives it sort of an environmentally friendly, perhaps sustainable, and also highly themed, rugged, but also nature-focused inspiration that I think is can kind of blend in really well with this area of Magic Kingdom in a way that I hadn't really thought of. So kudos to Disney for thinking sort of outside the box for that one, and making this new land that is admittedly inspired by an animated film, one that can feel less cartoony, even with those characters being brought into this new area. All right, 2, I like the intended use of water in the space. In the concept art, there's water sort of everywhere. I think with the loss of the rivers of America, we're losing the last major body of water in the Magic Kingdom, and bodies of water are really important to the design elements and the feel of the Disney theme parks. And so without that in sort of the icon, the main theme park, it raises some questions about how it's going to feel, what's it going to be like. And I think that, it's not the best thing overall to lose such a big body of water. That adds a level of tranquility to the theme park, but the use of the waterways and geysers and waterfalls in this concept art, I think it's going to be able to keep some of that character and some of those elements that I think are going to be sorely missed. All right, finally, the blend of the existing lesser known characters and the setting, from the Planes Fire and Rescue and Humphrey the Bear cartoons, I think it gives this land a little bit of an edge, so to speak. What I mean by that is this isn't brand new territory from an IP perspective, and the new character and the land are being pulled from Disney properties that are not as popular as to incite sort of major reactions or characters so large in their personalities to sort of dominate the new space. I think they have enough familiarity with the Cars tie-in to pull people in and draw them in to visit, but I think that there's a far enough distance from these characters for it to cause a major issue in terms of fan reaction. I think the promise overall of a Cars land similar to the uber successful one over there in Disney California Adventure, with enough changes to make the land feel unique to Orlando, make this a unique and I think attractive proposition. But time will tell whether this meshes really well with the essence of the Magic Kingdom, the original theme park at Walt Disney World. All right, tell me your thoughts. Are you excited about Cars Land? Are you excited about these new characters? What do you think of the concept art? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and please consider subscribing.